News Talk K20 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, this is interesting. Sales of this is Wall Street Journal today. This kind of grabbed me. I was like, what? And especially as Wall Street Journal, this isn't something I'd expect to see. Sales of Bibles are booming, fueled by first-time buyers and new versions. Worries about the economy, conflicts abroad, uncertainty over the election pushed readers toward the publication in droves. Bible sales are up 22% in the United States through the end of October, compared with the same time last year. That is crazy. Like, what, so to me, before I even get more into this, before I get more into the story, I decided to stop here so I can do a little rant. To me, this is people freaking out, thinking the end of the world's coming. Producer Garrett's looking at me like, oh no, Croc's lost it. I'm not here to tell you the end of the world's coming. I'm just here to say I think that people are thinking that. I just love this look. Like, oh gosh, Croc's lost it. Play a best of, let him go by. He's gone cuckoo. He's like that lady in the bus that was yelling at the other guy for being Indian. He's crazy. He flipped his lid. No. I think people are freaking out. I think they think that the end of the world's coming. Sometimes people have said that to me recently. I don't know, over the past year, some people are like, I don't know, I think the end times is coming. Maybe. And by the way, if you think you know why Bibles are up through the roof 22%, by all means, I am listening. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I personally think that they're freaking out about, possibly the end of the world, because you got wars going on, you got tumult, you got poverty, or people living paycheck to paycheck, people freaking out. And I'm going to read more into the story here in a sec and what they're saying and what people are saying. But for me, I think that what's going on is people think the end of the world is approaching. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't think the end of the world's approaching. I think it is. It's approaching. It might not be here for another 1,000 years, but one day it's going to be the end of the world. What do you want me to say? It's going to be here forever? Forever? No. I think they're freaking out because of that. 800-288-WBAP is our number. I'll ask you this question. Are you, trying to say this without on a straight face, are you feeling like the end of our world is approaching? Or a World War III or worse? Famine, poverty, war, hopelessness? Are people rushing out to buy Bibles for this? And also, do you think that people doing this, rushing out to go buy Bibles for this reason, is that a good thing? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. All right, so worries about the economy, conflicts abroad, uncertainty over the election pushed readers to buy Bibles in groves. They're up 22% in the United States since October. Same period last year. People are experiencing anxiety themselves, or they are worried for their children and grandchildren, says one of the publishers. They asked in this Wall Street Journal story today. It's related to artificial intelligence, election cycles. All of that feeds a desire for assurance that we're going to be okay. Maybe they're getting the Bibles to see what's happening next. Oh, we're screwed. Okay, let's see what this is. What's next? A 28-year-old artist and influencer has appeared on the reality show Love Island USA, recently bought her first Bible. And she says, I've had Bibles my mom gave me, but I felt like I needed my own to start my own journey, that it symbolized I was starting a walk with God. I felt something was missing. It's a combination of where we are in the world, general anxiety, and the sense that that meaning and comfort can be found in the Bible, which I think is true, very true, absolutely true. A manager from a Faith and Life bookstore says they're looking for hope with the world the way it is, and the Bible is what they're reaching for. That's a good thing. The demand for Bibles is rising despite evidence the country is growing increasingly secularized. Now, what is that all about? We have more godlessness than perhaps any time in the history of our country, and yet the Bibles sales of Bibles are shooting through the roof. Well, that might mean they're looking to get connected to their faith. By the way, if you're trying to, so I wonder if these people are getting the Bible and they're going right to Revelation to try to figure out. I'm going to tell you right now, you read that, and good luck understanding exactly what that means. I have learned more from my pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffress, which is from First Baptist Dallas, one of my sponsors, and how he talks about things that are in Revelation that make it more like, oh, so that's what they're saying. And for example, one of the things where you're like, you talk some of the things they've talked about. I can't remember the exact scripture and such, but Dr. Jeffress was saying, well, look, if you're Paul and you have this vision of the future that is spelled out in Revelation, and it's a helicopter. He sees a helicopter, but he doesn't even know what the hell a helicopter is. He's trying to describe it. That was one of the things he was talking about that very well could mean exactly what he was describing. Some of this stuff is like near impossible to figure out if you're not some scholar. Even for scholars, they don't know exactly what it means. So I will tell you that I think that if they're getting it to check out Revelation, good luck. You're going to be more confused. Continuing on, Pew Research Center found that 28% of adults in the U.S. now consider themselves religiously unaffiliated. Yet the Bible sales rose 14.2 million in 2023 from 9.7 million in 2019, and then hit 13.7 million in the first 10 months this year. So it is growing exponentially. That's very interesting. That's very good. One of the folks interviewed in here is talking about one of the publishers of Tyndale House. They're a real good faith-based publisher. She said there seems to be a surge in engagement, particularly among members of Gen Z and college students. You have a generation that wants to find things that feel more solid. Well, that's good, and this is the right way to do it. Buyers are further energized by celebrities not typically known for their faith deciding to openly share it. NBC star Savannah Guthrie's recent book, Mostly What God Does, Reflections on Seeking and Finding His Love Everywhere. They say that's one of the examples. A 38-year-old mother of two in Nevada attributes the increase in Bible sales in part to podcasters and TikTokers like herself sharing easily digestible stories about Christianity. Well, I can tell you this. Either way, it's a good thing. And if you're curious, that's a good thing. If you think by getting it, you're going to help figure out if the end of the world is approaching, you're not going to figure it out, because the truth is it could be 1,000 years from now. It could be 1,000 days from now. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 10,000 years. All you're supposed to do is act like right now, if the end of the world's here, you finished strong. That's what we're supposed to do, is every day live it to the best of our ability. And you want to get caught being good, not bad, right? All right, so coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, Trump is going to use local sheriffs for mass deportations. Meanwhile, Trump's border czar says he's going to meet with New York City Mayor Eric Adams to address the illegal migrant crisis. And a story on CBS 11, dreamers, quote unquote, I don't call them that, but that's what some people call them, are panicking, preparing in case of Trump deporting them too. Rutro Rastro. Oh, and I've been telling you about this case about one of Joe and Kamala's illegals who came in from the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Hint, Islamic Republic of Mauritania, who has been arrested for shooting and killing a Jew on his way to worship in Chicago in the streets, one of Joe and Kamala's illegals. That's the first act of terrorism on our soil from a terrorist that Joe and Kamala stamped and let in. We'll tell you about all that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3 at 1017. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. 57% of Americans approve deportation of every illegal immigrant, period. Trump starting program to deport all illegal immigrants in the U.S., 57% approve. Only 43% disapprove. That's a 14-point favorability on that. Okay, so I want to share a few more things with you, too. This just came across my wire, actually, in the past hour. At least 8 shot, 3 dead in a mass shooting on Chicago's southwest side. Reports indicate those involved may be Venezuelan illegals related to gang activity, which is what? Tren de Aragua.
Chicago police say they were called to a home at 59th Street between St. Louis and Central Park for a call of a person shot. Once police arrived, they found 8 people shot all inside that home. They say it was 4 men and 4 women, all of them between the ages of 20 and 35. Police say 3 of those men are now dead, and we know that of the 5 who were injured, 2 were taken to Christ Hospital, 1 was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, and another one was taken to Mount Sinai, and 2 self-transported to a hospital. It's unclear what hospital they went to. We had a chance to speak to a neighbor and police about what unfolded here in Chicagoland this evening. Take a listen.
We have 8 victims that we're going to solve this crime and find the individuals that are responsible for this heinous, terrible incident. It appeared to be a social gathering taking place at that location. Been calls to service at this residence before.
From that home, it seems like they party a lot. Yeah, they like to have a good time.
How long have they possibly been living there? When did you first start seeing or hearing the partying?
Maybe within the last 6-7 months.
So you have that. That's not the first story that may involve the illegals that Joe and Kamala led into Chicago. What they say, 8 shot, 3 dead on that one. But look at this. From the Federalist today. First U.S. terror attack from open borders won't be the last. And I've told you about this over and over again over the past couple of weeks. Turns out I had one fact wrong. The Jewish man that was attacked by this radical Islamic terrorist that Joe and Kamala led in illegal, he didn't kill him, but he tried to. He sure did try. 22-year-old Mauritanian. By the way, the Islamic Republic of Mauritania is a very terrorist-friendly place. That's why none of these folks should be coming in here. But Joe and Kamala said, come on in. You're part of the whole illegal invasion. You come in. You come in and you slaughter some Jews. Get some Americans while you're at it. No biggie. 22-year-old Mauritanian Sidi Mohamed Abdallahi, was found dead of an apparent hanging suicide in his Cook County jail cell. Abdallahi illegally jumped the border from Tijuana to San Diego. This guy's been here for like a year and a couple of months. March 2023, he got here, and Joe and Kamala stamped said, come in. October 26th, so what, a month and a week ago or so, Abdallahi allegedly hunted down and shot in the back an identifiably Orthodox Jewish man walking to synagogue, hunting Jews. He then tried to up the body count by attacking responding police while shouting, Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Abdallahi, we're importing freaking goat herders who are terrorists from terrorist nations. You hear this? This is freaking disgusting. Abdallahi still didn't quit shooting even after cops wounded him. Somehow, he, the police, and the victim all survived. The Federalist reports while working, this guy was already working at Amazon. A Joe and Kamala illegal from a freaking Islamic terrorist haven works at freaking Amazon. When he's, I get a little bio of himself. What do you do? Well, when I'm not working at Amazon, I'm trying to kill the Jews, inshallah. Oh, praise Allah. Oh, they blow up so young. I'm hoping to at least kill so many people here in America before I die too. While working at Amazon warehouse, this Joe Biden Islamist illegal carefully planned his attack on Jewish targets due to his jihadist ideology. Of course, he's from the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, a terrorist haven. And Joe and Kamala say, Stamp. Come on. Stamp. I want to kill the Jews. Stamp. Come on in. Get you some American, some white Americans too. Okay. Come on in. Akbar. Yes. Take care. We'll see you later. Your free jet plane ride, bus ride, $1,000 meal ticket, and cell phone to help you kill the Jews waiting for you right over there, sir. There you go. Oh, praise the Lord. This was not anything but a planned attack and attempted assassination of these people, said their assistant state attorney in Cook County. This was a calculated plan on a public street and attempted slaughter of that person and law enforcement officers. Abdullahi had mapped out the locations of 2 Chicago synagogues and a Jewish community, the conservative Chicago Sun-Times reported. The history also included the Jewish Community Center and a gun store in suburban Lyons, Illinois. Once he shot the Jew in the back, Abdullahi displayed a relentless desire to increase his body count and seemed tactically aware of how to take out hard human targets like police officers. For example, his gun apparently jammed after shooting the Jewish victim. He had reportedly had the presence of mind to retreat, cover, fix the jam, then return to finish off the Jewish man, but then retreated to cover as first responders approached. Abdullahi drove a few blocks around them. He's driving, and he has a gun. He's killing Jews and driving and working at Amazon. That's great. Don't spit in my package, please, you sick bleep. He then returned on foot from a new direction, opened fire on 4 cops and 2 paramedics tending to the wounded men. Can you envision this idiot? This terrorist? Oh, look, Bard! Don't help the Jew! I kill you too! This is who Joe Biden and Kamala let in. He's got a gun, a car, and a job. Isn't this sick? Stand by. I'll continue this next. My question's for you. How do you feel about your sheriff working with the Trump administration to round up and deport illegals? How about mayors and other elected officials? Wouldn't you like to get these Jew-hating terrorists out of our country that Joe and Kamala let in? Oh, there's tens of thousands or more of them in this country. How about deporting the Dreamers as well? That is on the docket. I'll share with you that story on CBS 11. DACA recipients face renewed uncertainty in Trump's second term. Does that bother you? All that is next. Our phone lines are wide open. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. You know, we're talking about the illegal invasion and how dangerous it's putting all of us at risk of death via terror attack or via Tren de Agua or God knows what. One of the most shocking things that we're learning about is the invasion from the northern border. One sector of our northern border that has had 19,000 crossings in 1 year. One sector of our northern border, 19,000 crossings in 1 year from 97 different countries. This is not a South America, Central America invasion. This is not from Mexico, Mexicans coming in. This is 97 countries from the north. In the South, we're getting 181 countries. This is not a Hispanic invasion of Hispanic countries. This is a world invasion, including from the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, which is in Africa, where one terrorist was allowed in by Joe and Kamala a year and a half ago, and is already working at Amazon, driving, and has a gun, and shot and tried to kill a Jew and shot cops when confronted. I'll continue with that story in a second. But one sector on the northern border has 19,000 crossings in 1 year, which is, listen to this, that's higher than the last 17 years combined. We got more in 1 year in one sector of the border on the north than we did over the last 17 years combined. This is an all-out invasion from every single possible part of our border, north and south. And so that's why Trump told, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, who just came down to Florida and kissed the ring for Trump, right? And said, we're going to slap 100% tariff on you if you don't do what we tell you to do. By the way, I do have an update on that. You're going to love this. Listen to this. This is great. This is Fox News' Peter Doocy reporting on Trudeau's visit with Trump. Listen to this. You're going to love this. On the illegal invasion. That's what this is all about.
And tonight we're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from two people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor.
Yeah! Yeah! Yes! We will annex Canada. They will either do what we tell them to, or they're going to be the 51st state. Let's go. Come on. Oh, I love that. That's why we made him our president. The man's got balls as big as church bells, as it were. That's on my Twitter feed. You can follow me and retweet it at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show. ChrisKrok. Now, finishing up on this Islamist in Chicago that was arrested for trying to shoot and kill. He did shoot. He shot a Jew who was identifiably Jewish walking to worship on the Sabbath. And then when the cops showed up, he shot at them too. He hanged himself in his Cook County jail cell this weekend, apparently. But when the cops showed up as he was trying to murder this Jew and shooting him, the cops showed up. He rose repeatedly to allegedly fire on the police even more before finally collapsing. Miraculously, none of his other intended victims were hit, but he did hit the Jewish man who was going to worship. This is from the Federalist. Americans, they talk about this. It goes way beyond the evidence so far showing that he followed a violent ideology. Americans can no longer regard the possibility of Islamic terrorist infiltration from the southern border as merely a hypothetical boogeyman. Because of this story in Chicago, no longer can the warnings of Homeland Security professionals like those quoted in his book, this author he writes about, to be dismissed as anti-immigrant fear-mongering. So there you go, jihadists among us. Now, Tom Homan, meanwhile, the border czar for Trump, says he's going to meet in New York City with Mayor Adams to address the illegal migrant crisis. Let's get this done. We don't know what it's going to intend into, but we have a brilliant piece out of the Wall Street Journal saying that sheriffs are the Trump plan for sheriffs is this. You can help us. If you're a sheriff, you can help us to deport these illegals, to be our ground force, to identify, arrest, and detain illegals when you come into contact with them. And if you help us, we will incentivize you and give you the hookup as far as federal funding. If you don't help us, we're going to punish you. That's the plan. Local sheriffs gearing up to help Trump carry out mass deportations. There's Republican sheriffs, for example, in Frederick, Maryland, saying, I support the president 100%. I want to do more within the law. And they say this is spreading fear in the illegal immigrant circles. Well, good. You broke the law. You're here as an illegal. You should be afraid. So Trump team is already pursuing new spaces they can repurpose into short-term detention centers near large Democrat-run cities. Trump's team is aiming for an historic expansion of the federal program that gives sheriffs and other agencies certain ICE powers, the 287G program, for example. That's what we used to have everywhere, and that's what we should have. It gives them an ICE computer program so they can run everybody they arrest through the machine to determine if they're illegally. And if they are, they report it to ICE to initiate deportation proceedings. The team aims to revive a dormant, controversial, quote, task force model, which until 2012 allowed officers from participating local agencies during their routine duties to question and arrest suspected illegals in the community on immigration violations. Good. It's aggressive, and it should put the fear of God into you, because you don't belong here if you come here illegally. Under one plan being considered, billions of federal dollars to currently reimburse nonprofits and cities. This is the Joe Biden's friends who make millions and millions and billions. Under the plan being considered, nonprofits, that money going to them and to cities to help newly arrived illegals at the border will be redirected to local law enforcement agencies instead that turn illegals over to ICE. Yes! You know, one of those groups I've told you about is in Denver, Colorado. It was a lady who was former president, Mrs. Hussein Obama, Michelle or Michael Hussein Obama, her right-hand person, started up an NGO, non-government organization that helps illegals, and they made like a couple million, $2 or $3 million a year. And then all of a sudden, Joe becomes the president. The invasion begins, and she went from having like $1 to $3 million a year to play with to $180 million. She doubled her salary. That's what happens. All of Joe Biden's Democrat friends become rich. That money's now going to go to sheriffs to jail them and deport them. Amen, right? And then DACA recipients face renewed uncertainty in Trump's second term, this report says on CBS 11. I have to take Trump's words very seriously, says one illegal. She calls herself a dreamer, that when they say mass deportation, it also includes people like you. You should. We are done. We are done playing around. Uncertainty is nothing new for DACA recipients, they say. Well, yeah, but that's because you're here illegally, and it's terrible, but you should blame your parents. Now, my questions for you. How do you feel about your sheriff working with the Trump administration to round up and deport illegals? And how about mayors and other elected officials? And how about deporting dreamers as well? Are you okay with that? And I don't like calling them that, but that's what they're known as. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And, you know, it's sad. Your parents came here illegally, so really need to take it up with them. And many of them are saying they have plans. Good. Remember that illegal we talked about was in a CNN report where one was saying he's prepared for deportations. He knows what he's going to do. He's going to go to Mexico. And the other guy, and he was totally anti-Trump. Another illegal was interviewed, and he's totally pro-Trump. And he says, yeah, I'll be fine if I get deported. I have a plan. And his plan also was to go to Mexico. So they have a plan, and they're not stupid, and they're going to figure this out, and they'll be just fine. But the message must be sent, and literally we must disincentivize illegalism and the whole illegal movement, because kids are being raped, they're being trafficked, cartels are becoming rich, women are raped. I think it's 30% of every woman that comes up as sexually assaulted. It's horrible. No, we're done. I'm done. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. We got a big day tomorrow. We may have a verdict in the Daniel Penny subway trial. I want to preview that, and we'll talk about that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. That's coming up at 10:46 on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 42 arrests. 42 prior arrests, including some violent attacks. Jordan Neely, who threw off his coat and says, I'm not afraid to kill somebody. I'm not afraid to go to jail for the rest of my life today. And started screaming, yelling, threatening folks on the subway train. And you're underground. You cannot get out. You're locked in the subway car. And a man is saying he's going to kill somebody. Somebody's going to die. And so Daniel Penny, a former Marine and a student, you'll hear him say in his own words, actually, I'll play it for you right now. This is in his interrogation.
Was on there. I forget what stop it was at, but some guy came in. He's like, whipped his jacket off, and he's like, I'm going to kill everybody. I can go to prison forever. I don't care. I don't do this. At that point, I looked to the person next to me like, hey, just hang on to this phone for me. I had my headphones in and took it off and just kind of like grabbed him from behind because he came in just to like, because he was acting like a lunatic, like a crazy person. So, and he was rolling around the floor, and at that point the train stopped. I was like, someone call the cops, and he's still like rolling around, still going crazy. Had two other guys kind of help me just kind of keep him from going nuts, and yeah.
So now he's on trial for the death of this man and he could go to jail for up to 15 years. It's manslaughter, what they charged him with. And here's some of the things. Well, first of all, this is brand new from journalist Colin Rugg reporting this on Twitter, and it is on my feed. I retweeted it. Prosecutors during closing arguments tried painting Daniel Penny. Just so you know, it's going to the jury most likely tomorrow, and you might even have a verdict tomorrow. The quicker the verdict, the more likely he is going to be innocent. No, I'm sorry. The quicker the verdict, the more likely he's to be guilty is typically how it works. But you know what? They also may decide they might take a roll call, you know what I mean, and find out that half or three-fourths are like, I'm not convicting this guy. Maybe all of them. You never know. But here, prosecutors during closing arguments tried painting Daniel Penny as a bad person because he called Jordan Neely a crackhead during his police interrogation. And by the way, he was high. He was high on K2, which is synthetic marijuana. It's one of the experts in this realm talked about that it's like cocaine laced with marijuana. It's like that. You've heard of that K2 stuff, spice, they also call it, I think. And he also suffered from sickle cell anemia. And he also suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. So you have a guy who is high, who is freaking out and threatening to kill people. So the prosecution tried to say that calling him a crackhead means that Daniel Penny is bad. Okay, maybe he's not a crackhead, but he was high, and he's homeless, so it's not that far off. Defense asked, during the closing arguments, defense asked, who would you want on the train with you? I know I'd want Daniel Penny. If my wife was on there, or my daughter, or my son, I'd want Daniel Penny on there. Meanwhile, the prosecution had an issue with the fact that Penny called Neely a crackhead while speaking with the police. The defendant, as nice and empathetic as we've heard he can be, seems to have a real blind spot for Mr. Neely. Have sympathy on the man that's trying to kill people. Come to terms with him. Have a sit down with him. Have a coffee clutch with him. Play bridge. They continue on. The Marine put Neely in a chokehold after the crackhead threatened. He calls him a crackhead after they said he's not a crackhead. The Marine put Neely in a chokehold after the crackhead threatened to kill subway passengers if he didn't give him a soda. Penny is not only a hero, but he's a model citizen. That's what he put. Okay, and I agree. All right. So we know that the guy was high. We know the guy had what do I call it? Sickle cell. Oh, he had one more thing going on with his health. And schizophrenia, lengthy criminal history, 42 arrests, including some violent ones. And but the point is, you just never know with New York juries. On one hand, they're going to be like, well, I ride the subway. Almost everybody does. I did when I lived there for 4 months in the summer of 1995. And if you ride the subway with regularity, you're like, well, this could have easily been me. And if we convict this guy, we can't defend ourselves anymore. And this is what happens when you have no cops. And the reality is, even when you have cops, they don't show up for 4 to 8 minutes. And when you're in a metal tube that's locked and you can't have nowhere to go, this is even more of a serious threat. You can't flee. If these folks convict this guy, I will be horrified. I am not confident in any New York jury. Thankfully, Jordan Neely's not, thankfully, Daniel Penny's last name isn't Trump, because they would convict him of murder and give him the death penalty. Even if they can't have the death penalty in New York, they still get death penalty. So my hope is that he is found innocent in a case that has been made racial for no reason. Many of the people that have that spoke at the time of this event happening afterwards said he was going to kill us. He was threatening. This guy's a hero. This guy took care of us. The other thing is, he was still alive when the cops got him. They said he still had a pulse. And the cops said they gave him Narcan because they thought he was high on opiates, had overdosed. And they also did not give him CPR because they didn't have a dental dam, and they thought, there could be an AIDS possibility with this. But anyway, No, I hope they don't find him guilty of anything and let him go. This has been a horrible travesty. I hope that he can be found not guilty, be freed, and I hope he still has an extra $1 million or $2 million left over from that fundraiser that everybody did, because he deserves every bit of it. It's a horrible thing that happened to him. Oh, by the way, the last quick thing, I forgot to say, the medical examiner, she declared the death, the cause of death from the chokehold, even before she even got the toxicology report. He could have been a total overdose. She had no idea, and she's up. Homicide.